Madam Speaker, I rise to applaud and congratulate the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Economy for the budget before this August House. I also take this opportunity to thank my Permanent Secretary, Dr. Josefa Koroibueta, and his hardworking budget team at my ministry, and also the Permanent Secretary and officers of the Ministry of Economy, who helped us as a ministry put together and achieve the highest budget ever recorded for my ministry since inception. Madam Speaker, for the budget before this House, my ministry has received an increase of 70.3% from the current year's budget, and I thank the Honourable Minister for Economy for this unprecedented allocation. And that is why, Madam Speaker, it really baffles me when the members of the opposition attack the budget so passionately. I ask the opposition members to not let the strategic paralysis that Honourable Minister for Agriculture has been talking about, not let that paralysis suppress the truth. Madam Speaker, the budget is a strong reinforcement of the Fiji First government's will to keep building upon a more empowered, a stronger, more inclusive, cohesive, and a smarter Fiji. It is a compassionate budget. It is an empowering budget. It is visionary. It is a budget that is cognizant of ground realities in Fiji. And when we look at the budget for my ministry, Madam Speaker, we can clearly see the will to empower Fijians, particularly those Fijians who need us to invest in them: women, children, the elderly, those living with disabilities, and those living in situations of poverty. Madam Speaker, the center of attention of the Fijian government is the people of our nation, for we believe that we are stronger when we empower and invest in our women, in our children, in people living with disabilities, the senior citizens, and disadvantaged Fijians. Madam Speaker, the trust of the Fijian government to my ministry for an allocation of $113.4 million, which is $46.9 million more than our current budget, is a clear signal to deserving Fijians on the social protection programs that their livelihoods do matter. It is a signal that this government is cognizant of the fact that we cannot truly advance as a country if some Fijians are lagging behind. It is a consistent realization of the promise by the Honourable Prime Minister to not let any Fijian behind. Madam Speaker, the social protection programs of $92.05 million comprise 85% of our total budget. It brings us comfort to know that the increase in social protection programs will benefit 25,000 families already on the poverty benefit scheme, over 4,000 households on care and protection program, almost 26,000 senior citizens on social pension scheme, and over 2,000 expectant mothers under the extended food voucher program. Madam Speaker, it therefore deeply concerns me as a relevant minister when I hear from the other side an allegation that the increase in the social protection program budget is a result of the early retirement age and changes to the regulation of FNPF. Madam Speaker, that statement is a gloomy preview of the opposition's mode of operation for elections campaign. Statements made and so carelessly thrown out into the public space without any thought put to its accuracy. Statements geared to turn the noble deed of assisting women, children, the elderly, those living with disabilities, and those living in situations of poverty into a political football. Statements that pay no regard to facts. Madam Speaker, the new items of expenditure in the budget, which increases the social pension scheme from $50 to $100 a month for those eligible 65-year-olds and over, the budget for the renovation of state-run homes for the elderly, and the budget for the purchase of special care equipment for the elderly, all point towards attention being given by government to elderly Fijians. The national budget allocation for elderly citizens of Fiji ensures that the aged beneficiaries remain relevant in the current developmental discourse. It ensures that they are not left behind in nation building and development. Madam Speaker, the expanded food voucher for rural pregnant mothers will have an increase from $30 per month to $50 in this new budget. This increase in allowance will continue to encourage our rural pregnant mothers to book early for antenatal clinics and assist them in getting proper nutrition during pregnancy. Madam Speaker, for the first time in the history of our country, there is now a standalone disability allowance with a budget of $7.9 million. This allowance aims to assist in the care and protection of those Fijians living with 100% disabilities. With this in place, along with the increase in budget allocation for the FNCDP, with an estimated total of $1.1 million, $0.5 million to assist NGOs that are working with persons living with disabilities, and $850,000 to Hilton Special School for early intervention, we as a government and as a nation will be a step closer to realizing our national and international obligations on the rights of persons living with disabilities. Madam Speaker, this budget allocation is not only about fulfilling national and international obligations on the rights of persons living with disabilities. It is about compassion. It is about empowerment, empowering not only the beneficiaries, but also their loved ones who look after them every day. It is about helping them live a dignified life. The new disability allowance will cover more than 7,300 people living with disabilities with an entitlement of $90 a month. Madam Speaker, the increased budget allocation for the welfare and protection of children and the new allocation for the renovation and expansion of the Juvenile Rehabilitation Center show government's holistic approach to child welfare. We have not and will not forget Fijian children who have fallen on the wrong side of the law. This government believes that these children, if given the right support and mentoring program at the Juvenile Center, can still turn their lives around to become productive members of society in their adult lives. Madam Speaker, in addition to the budget of the operation of the Department of Social Welfare, we have also been allocated a budget for the administration and operation of the Poverty Monitoring Unit, which became part of my ministry in 2015. With a new budget, the unit is looking at an innovative and productive workforce ready to deliver ministry's targets and outcomes aligned to government's key priority areas. For this fiscal year, an allocation of $10,000 has been included for training and development, which will assist in the provision of training and development for staff in the areas of monitoring and evaluation, project management, and report writing to enhance capacities and contribute towards organizational development in the area of monitoring and evaluation. My ministry, Madam Speaker, is also very pleased with the budget increments towards gender equality and empowerment of women program based with the Department of Women for the new fiscal year. Working towards gender equality and empowerment of women needs a collaborative effort, and government intends to strengthen the efforts in a coordinated manner, working with its stakeholders drawn from government, non-government organizations, corporate organizations, and UN agencies. Madam Speaker, the 2017-2018 budget reaffirms the Fiji First government's commitment to the empowerment of women with a boost of approximately $4.4 million for the Department of Women. This allocation will enable the department to continue with the implementation of Fiji's national gender policy and carry out other planned programs and activities which focus on empowering Fijian women and girls by providing them with the ability to participate equally and equitably towards national development. We can now more effectively implement compulsory gender training for new and existing officers in the ministry, which is necessary for efficient service delivery within the ministry. To strengthen the work undertaken in the implementation of the national gender policy and the Women's Plan of Action, we can focus on re-establishing and strengthening the interagency task force on the 4 thematic areas, including women in the law, access to services, equal participation in decision-making, and formal sector employment and livelihood. Madam Speaker, government will continue to capitalize on the success of the National Women's Expo to link women artisans to markets and further strengthen financial returns to Fijian women entrepreneurs. This is further recognizing and building from the success of the previous expos, building confidence, business skills, and the production of Fijian-made products, which further links to accessing the Fijian-made, Fijian-crafted licenses. Stronger collaboration between my ministry and the Ministry of Trade and Tourism will further enhance the economic empowerment of Fijian women. Madam Speaker, non-governmental women's organizations complement the work government is doing in advancing gender equality and empowerment of women. Government will provide financial assistance, $200,000, to two reputable women's organizations, McCoy Vocational Center and Bar Women's Forum. For the information of this August House, Madam Speaker, 240 women have graduated from the McCoy Vocational Center since it started operations in 2016. For the Bar Women's Forum, we are talking about 64 women's group with about 800 members who benefit from such funds, Madam Speaker. This demonstrates great commitment towards the capacity building of women through practical and strategic training within the centers. Also, in recognition of the role that non-government organizations play in our communities, government has allocated $150,000 as NGO grants to enable them to continue and address the interests of women and girls in our country. Madam Speaker, we don't work in isolation. We work with non-government organizations. We work with other ministries to achieve a holistic strategy on the empowerment of women. Therefore, it's an advice to members of the opposition who continue to attack the budget of the Ministry of Women, saying that it is not enough. That simplistic way of looking at our budget, Madam Speaker, presupposes that women live in silos, that we live in isolation. Every woman in this house, including all the women in this house, we're mothers, we're wives, we're grandmothers. So when government empowers a child to go to school without having to pay his or her school fees, when government empowers a child by giving the child free breakfast in school, a mother is empowered, a sister is empowered, a daughter is empowered. When government builds a road through a community that didn't have a road before, or tar-seals a road that wasn't tar-sealed before, thousands of women living in those communities are empowered. The same goes for the linking of water sources to communities. Street lights, footpaths, all these, they empower women in the various facets of life that they live in. Exactly. So I ask the House, we are now venturing onto election campaign mode, and one of the things that's usually used in these campaigns is targeting budgets. Let's not target budgets in isolation. Let's open up a myopic vision and see what government is doing holistically in every area of development in this country. Madam Speaker, my ministry also thanks and welcomes the initiative announced by the Honorable Minister for Economy at the budget address, which aims to engage and involve women in the production of substitutes for plastic bags. This is a fine example of collaboration and a united effort for the empowerment of women and our national aims towards a greener economy. The allocation of $200,000 for the management of the domestic violence toll-free line, Madam Speaker, will also ensure the ongoing management of this crucial service to victims of domestic violence by the Fiji Women's Crisis Center through a partnership with my ministry. Madam Speaker, the social protection investment focus of this budget cannot be overemphasized. We can sit here as parliamentarians and particularly as members of the opposition and second-guess government on this unprecedented social protection investment. We can call it an election gimmick. We can call it extravagant, irresponsible, deceptive. We can allege that the increase in the budget this year is due to the lowering of the retirement age almost a decade ago and changes to the FNPF policies without any data whatsoever to support it. It's easy for the opposition to rubbish the Help for Home initiative as a waste of money. Honorable Prasad, I'm very sure that those 36,000 Fijian people who have benefited from the Help for Home initiative will not agree with you on that count. Madam Speaker, the reality is this. The reality is that social protection is not a free pass. It is not a handout. It is an investment in inclusive growth. It is an investment in Fijian people who simply need a small nudge to help them be self-reliant, removing them from isolation and bringing them into the fold of nation building and development. Government is investing in our people through this social protection investment. Madam Speaker, the Fijian people have spoken through this budget. Everybody in this House is aware of the extensive consultations that were carried out by the Honorable Minister for Economy and his team during the budget preparation phase. As Fijians living in rural communities raising issues pertaining to access to government services and other matters which the Fijian people thought important to address in this budget. Consultations with youths, with children, women, people living with disabilities, those requests, Madam Speaker, those concerns are now in the budget that is before this House. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I ask that we support this budget, because a vote against this budget means a vote against the pleas of ordinary Fijians. A vote against this budget means a vote against the empowerment of our Fijian women, children, those living with disabilities, the elderly, and those living in situations of poverty. A vote against this budget is a vote against Fiji, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in closing, I wish to assure this august House of my ministry's commitment to execute the expected outcomes, key performance indicators, and outputs in the new fiscal year, and to help leave no Fijian behind. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and I fully support this budget.